Hey everybody, it's Parker. Today I want to do a video for you on a topic that comes up in every single real estate transaction, and that is the topic of closing costs. So closing costs is one of those real estate blanket terms, okay? So it gets thrown around all over the industry, so much so that the public is familiar with the term, but they don't know exactly what it means or what all it covers. But that's what I'm here for, is to clear up any confusion. So today I'm going to answer the three most common questions that I get about closing costs. And that is, number one, what are closing costs? Number two, who pays for closing costs? And number three, how does that typically look in real estate negotiations? So let's dive in. So what are closing costs? The simplest definition of closing costs are fees that an individual incurs when they are buying or selling real estate. Okay. Now, one thing to remember is that with closing costs, you have separate fees for the purchaser and separate fees for the seller. So if you were the buyer, you have a different set of things you were paying for than what the seller is paying for. All right. Now, I'm going to break down those fees on both sides for you. But before I do, I want to preface it by saying no real estate transaction is the same. You may have fees that come out of left field. Or if you're a seller, you may have a property that's tied up in probate or has a judgment on it. If you're a buyer, you may have something unique going on with your financing. So just keep in mind the explanations that I give you are going to be of the most common fees, the things that I see on almost every single transaction. So let's talk about the seller side of fees first. Usually the biggest thing on the seller side is the mortgage payoff. Coming on down the line, you have taxes and insurance. Those are fees that are typically prorated based on whatever month you are closing in on your property. The deed preparation, that is the fee that is paid to either the closing attorney or title company that handles the closing. One that a lot of people are not familiar with is deed stamps. So in South Carolina, deed stamps are a fee that is paid anytime a change is made in the public records concerning the transfer of title of real estate. All right. Now, if you were using a real estate agent, obviously there's going to be a realtor commission involved on the seller side of fees. That is typically a percentage of the sales price. However, it may be a flat fee. It just depends on the agent and the real estate transaction. So those are the most common fees that I see on the seller side of closing costs. So let's talk about the buyer side of closing costs, okay? So if you were purchasing a home with a mortgage, you were going to have lender fees, okay? Now your lender of choice can break down all of those a lot better than I can, but I'm just going to kind of give you a brief summary. So origination and processing fees are things most lenders are going to charge. They'll also want you to have some things escrowed in. Probably the first couple of months worth of taxes and insurance will be due at closing. Then you have your title fees. So these are everything that the title company charges to make sure that you receive a property that does not have any unsatisfied liens or judgments on it. Okay. Now, if you are, again, purchasing with financing, you're going to have an appraisal. That is a fee that is typically paid up front, not at closing. So you have to come out of pocket with it earlier in the transaction, as well as any inspection fees. So let's say you're purchasing a home, you're probably going to want to do a general home inspection. If it has a well, septic tank, pool, you're going to want to have all of those inspected. Those are things that come out of pocket up front. And then you obviously have your deed recording fee with the county. Now, if you were purchasing cash, then your lender fees go away. All you would need to do at that point is just contact whatever title or closing company you're going to use, ask them what their fees are. They'll tell you, and then you can calculate all of that in. So let's talk about negotiations for a minute. So if you are a purchaser of real estate, if you were buying a home, you can ask a seller to pay your side of closing costs. This comes up quite a bit. I've had several clients in the past that I've gotten this done for. However, whether or not a seller will do that or agree to it depends almost entirely on how hot of a property that is. So if there's a lot of demand on that property, if they already have multiple offers, they're probably not going to accept an offer where a buyer is asking them to pay for their closing costs. Now, if that property has been sitting for a while, does not have much activity, the seller's maybe getting a little bit desperate, then yeah, they may take an offer where they pay someone's closing cost. So that's something to keep in mind. Maybe you're a first-time home buyer. you don't have all of the funds for your down payment and your closing costs, you could use that as a strategy and ask the seller to pay some of it for you. So that, I just want to give you guys an idea of how negotiations work with closing costs in a real estate deal. So guys, as always, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, if you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on social media so that I can keep you up to date on all the real estate trends, market knowledge, and information.